Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, every day.
Today and every day.
Today, I got a Krishna conscious riddle for you, Kaustubha.
Uh-oh.
And Brahmachari
Uh-oh.
is
You see, his riddle. He wanted to inject something silly, something perhaps not worthy of discussion, and the material energy is moving in such a way to cut him off, and he doesn't even realize it right now.
It's true.
He's frozen. He's been frozen out. His riddle will never see the light of day. Raghunath, you broke up on us. I don't know if you can hear me, but we can't hear you. Look at him.
He looks quite pleased with himself anyway.
Okay. Hopefully, Raghunath's been having a lot of trouble with his internet lately. He's got to take a look at that.
Yeah.
But why don't I just get it started, and hopefully he'll be back with us. Today's Walk on Wednesday, right? And it's my great fortune to be hosting the Walk on Wednesday today, just due to some. Oh, here's Raghunath. He's back. Raghunath, can you hear me? Check. We can see you. You're not frozen. You're waving.
We can't hear you,
but we
though.
can't hear you at all. We can't hear you. Yeah, you're a little bit freezing up too. We cannot hear you. We're not muting you. It's not us this time. It's entirely on you. But kick in any time you can, because we would love to hear from you. It's not the same without you, Raghunath. We need you, Raghunath. All right, he's a little frozen. So as I was saying, because Raghunath's having trouble with his internet, I guess I'm hosting the Walk on Wednesday today, which just happens to be one of my oldest friends in the world, actually, and that's Jiva, who's one of the people heading up our Bhakti recovery group. Jiva and I were friends back when, I think we became friends when you were 13 and I was 15, right?
Yep.
You're unmuted? Yeah. That's right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just running
Still
around.
younger than you.
You're still younger than me, yes. And we were just running around the Lower East Side, going to crazy
Hardcore shows.
Yeah.
Hanging out in Tompkins Square Park.
Yep. And then many years we were separated, and then somehow fate, or we could say by the Lord's arrangement, we were brought together again.
Yes.
And both into Bhakti now, and you're heading up a Bhakti recovery groups, and you have some things to share. Tell us the latest. What's happening with Bhakti recovery group?
Okay. Well, first of all, may I please just give my praises to the people I'd like to. For example, you. I want to thank you so much for all of this, for being a supporter, for helping me in my Dharma and my mission in life. You are one of the keys. You are pretty much the door opener to all of it for me. When I hit my second bottom in life, emotional bottom, you were there for me. And I will never, ever forget that. So I love you with all of my heart.
Love you too.
For that. Thank you. And I would love to thank Raghu because he's such a supporter of the Bhakti Recovery Group, and he really understands a lot. And he's just such a, and I would love to thank Nancy because she has been the most solid, reliable sister in the Bhakti Recovery Group mission.
Yes, you are.
She's solid and she's there the whole time, and I love her more than anything. And I'm so glad that she decided to do this with me, and that we are doing this. So, yeah, and to Guru Maharaj Radhanath. So, yeah, so decided that there are going to be some retreats.
Okay, so this is a new thing, right? This is
a new thing.
Wisdom of the Sages has been doing retreats, but this is the first Bhakti Recovery retreat.
It is. It is.
Or series of them, not just one, right?
Yeah, it's going to be. Let's see what happens. We're hoping, Bhakti Recovery Retreat is not necessarily just for addicts or people with associated behaviors, addictions, codependent. It's for anyone seeking shelter from Maya with very practical, tangible tools for life, regarding, the steps, and then bringing it in with Bhakti, yesterday I'm doing a Bhakti Shastri course. And yesterday we were on chapter 10.
Bhakti Shastri means it's these courses that are teaching all these different sacred texts, right?
Yes, and we're on the Bhagavad Gita right now, and we're like right into chapter 10. And in this chapter 10, just wanted to share this because this was something that I really realized, when I first started reading the Gita with you, me and you started reading the Gita.
Yeah.
And we talked about 12 steps and stuff. And you had always said I had this understanding, and this understanding goes so deep. And I always ask myself, why is it always repetitive? Why is it always repetitive? The Gita is really repetitive in a lot of things. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, yesterday, this is where Arjuna finally realizes that Krishna really is the absolute truth and that he really accepts him 100%, right? And I tied that in with the second step, which is we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And it fishes in exactly the same when you're at that point. Yeah. Whether you're an addict, whether you're, in a dysfunctional family, or whether you're having a hard time juggling your spiritual life and your regular life, these 12 steps and Bhakti come together so well. And it's going to be a lovely retreat. It will be in October. It will be right before Wisdom of the Sages retreat, actually. Right. So it's going to be like a double thing.
Both of them, if you like. Yeah.
Yes, this would be fantastic.
I don't know how much we've promoted that yet. It may be up on our website, but we're doing a retreat in October up at Super Soul Farm, like a weekend retreat, and yours will just be right before that. So if someone wants, they can come to both.
Absolutely, and it's a 4-day. Mine's is a 4-day, like 3.5-4-day retreat, and you guys also, I think, have around the same time. Okay. We haven't done a lot of promoting that because I guess it's still, there's
a lot of stuff in between.
Future.
Meredith put up a link to it for those with us on Zoom.
Yes. So it's going to be fantastic. We're going to dive deep. We're going to have some really slow flow yoga. We're going to have a lot of nectar of instruction readings. We're going to have some Gita readings. We'll have Kirtan, Sweet Baby Krishna. We'll have meetings, and we'll have the first 3 steps of adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families, which means just about everybody.
Okay.
I think everyone has a dysfunctional family. Everyone here at least. We're all.
There may be a few undented cans among us, but they're few and far between.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's amazing, So and I'm, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna see how that works out. I'm in the middle of arranging a European one as well. In Switzerland. Let's see what happens there. I would be very happy if that works out.
Great.
Yeah. So.
And then you're going to take that on the road on the East Coast for a little bit, right? After that? Well, actually, probably before that. I'm going to, so the end of September,
I will try, I'm arranging at the moment an East Coast tour of temples from New York down to Florida. And then from Florida, I'll fly back and then do the retreat right after that. And it's, one of the Bhakti recovery guys, Bhakti Matthew, who practically lives in New Vrindavan, has arranged this for me as a surprise, and arranged like a GoFundMe page, which I was so touched from that. And I'm so grateful for that. And for all the service. It's something I forgot to every person in the Bhakti recovery group. I want to thank all of you, everyone who does their service and everyone who shows up for a meeting, because without a meeting, I can't do service. I can't do service.
Well, this is great. I mean, it's just a next step. We're getting to a point with Wisdom of the Sages where there's so many listeners, and we're starting to get together, and Raghunath and I are realizing, we need help to expand this and to kind of reach people and share resources or opportunities, whether they're educational, whether they're training, whether there's some kind of like care like you're providing here with the Bhakti Recovery Group, so that people can take this deeper and deeper and deeper into their lives. And Bhakti Recovery Group is really the one that kind of took off first and has really touched a lot of lives. So thank you so much for the service that you do, Jiva, Nancy, everybody else that's involved with it. Raghunath, you're with us. Can you hear us? Can you speak?
I'm back on my phone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, this is
We
quite
can hear
good.
you. It's better,
right.
better than your laptop.
All right. Hey, Jiva, I just wanted to say congratulations. Glad you're coming. Glad to connect with you on this retreat at the farm. And I think it's a real oasis, a Bhakti Recovery Group 12-step program that people can relate on a very down-to-earth and very deep. Sometimes people think, well, what's just a meeting? We sit in a circle. It goes very, very deep, and you start to part of self-realization is not just knowing what you are, but uncovering all the things I am not. And looking at those things and looking out how, hey, I've been using these things as part of my personality and persona. It's got nothing to do with me. And it really assists people in letting go of these very, very strong attachments, which can really veer you off the path of your spiritual life, or to speak of your own personal joy. So thank you for doing what you do. Glad you're part of this family.
And I thank you so much for providing, I'd like to say too, it'll be up at the farm. The costs are just for room and board, and everything else is donation. So donation based. So please just check it out. And Raghu, I just want to say how much I love you. Because you are, not only because you're just a huge, you're very excited about this. And this is something that I'm also very excited about. So that brings us together in a special way.
Thanks. And so we have the dates. You mentioned the dates for that at the farm. You go to wisdomofthesages.com and go on the events.
I think it's the Sage Academy.
Sage Academy link.
Sage Academy.
Sage Academy, yes.
Yeah.
We're about to post Ashram month. Hey, I was cut off. So, Jiva, I want to thank you. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
We'll
and
see you soon.
I wouldn't be anything without you guys and without Nancy and everybody else. So thank you so much.
You are kind. Haribol. Kaustubha, did you hear my joke? I know my
no,
sound,
your riddle.
My audio got.
We were joking about your joke, Raghunath. We said that somehow the material energy had conspired to cut off your riddle.
No, I think it was not that.
Oh, you don't think so?
Okay, here's the joke. Can brahmacharis use email?
Can brahmacharis
use email?
Well, yes, but without attachments.
Yeah. Don't let me say the punchline.
Well, I came up with. I didn't know it. I actually came up with it, so that was pretty good, there. Right? Pretty good.
That was my joke.
All right.
Hey, my friend. I really was loving the theme. Sometimes the show, you listen to it, or in our case, we're doing the show, but it doesn't click in until a couple hours later. And I kept having this concept of every day, what was it? Walking the trail, creating your own path, walking it on a regular basis, and all of a sudden you have a trail in the woods. And just or sometimes you go and you see a very soft stone amongst a bunch of jagged stones, because drops of water have been coming for hundreds, if not thousands of years on that one place. And we were saying how that's analogous to our spiritual practice and our spiritual focus. And it's by showing up on a regular basis that we change, that we transform.
I think it was Thoreau called them pathways in the mind. I think he called it pathways in the mind.
Pathways in the mind. I was saying the same is true with any type of concentration. We're very quick to script kids and myself with ADHD, and we've never practiced concentration. We practice breathing. Being splayed, and we practice that practically all day long. And we're finally coming into a path, a tradition where we say, okay, for a few hours a day, we want you to practice concentration. We want you to sit and listen. We want you to sit and chant. We want you to sit and hold your mind. And how are we supposed to concentrate if we never practice that? What to speak of the media nowadays just keeps the mind just constantly moving, waiting for explosions and sex scenes and mini videos with fast edits. So this idea of concentration, meditation, we're climbing an uphill battle here with the media's pumping into us. What to speak of just being a wandering mind all day long. And now we're in a group, a collective that is saying, no, hold the mind. Hold the mind.
Hold it. Okay.
Hold it. Embrace. Put it in. Withdraw your mind. Okay. Great. I'm excited for all this stuff coming up. Okay. Can I give you a nugget too while we're here?
Well, generally we don't do the nugget on Walk on Wednesday, and since we're so late, maybe we just hold the nugget. Should we hold the nugget?
Today we're going to hold the nugget. What do you think about that?
And tomorrow you can throw the nugget out there.
Withholding nuggets? Bad.
Throwing the nugget.
Okay.
You didn't catch. That was my little joke. Right? Throw the nugget.
Oh, throwing the nugget. I get it.
Yes.
Rock and rolling the nugget.
Okay.
Narayanam namaskrityanam chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim yasam tatojayam mudiriyat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Mara, Canto 4, Chapter 18, text
19.
17.
19.
19.
You just throw out a guess. One of these days, you're going to land on it.
Know when to hold it. Know when to throw it. Know when to walk away. Know when to run. Who is that? Kenny Rogers?
That was Kenny Rogers, the gambler.
You know all these songs, man. You know everything.
Come on, everybody knows the gambler.
I don't know it.
You were just singing it.
After this, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka.
Hold it. We got a little context.
Yeah, if you're new to Wisdom of the Sages and you jump in now, you're going to be like, what
I don't know if this is for me.
This? They're milking the earth. Yeah. The angels, the Pitri Lokas, the Pitris are milking the earth. Go ahead. Explain this. Try to explain this.
Okay. Let me pull up this chapter because I don't have it open. We're in chapter 18. And what was the text again, Mary? 17?
19.
19.
19. Okay. I'm on Raghunath's first. Okay. So we've kind of gotten to this allegorical part where it's saying that it opened up by saying that there's just a broader implication here. I guess what I want to get to is like, what are we meant to take from this? Like, how does this all apply?
What's our
life,
takeaway, right?
Yeah. We're hearing that there was a king Prithu, and this king, he owned the responsibility of creating a certain kind of order, and that order, it even went beyond just like kind of law and order within the state, but it was a more cosmic order. Like he was kind of like, he felt it was interesting, right? Like interesting that like the leader, the ruler, owned a broader responsibility, that like on this cosmic level, I'm responsible. There is, if we turn back to the Vedas, like the original Vedas, right, the four Vedas, we're going to hear about that there's a way that life works. That there's a handbook to this universe that we're flying around in, right? And and an essential part of that is that there's kind of a cooperation, you could say, between like human beings. Human beings is like, we believe that we're just a soul, right? Like each one of us is a soul. We're made out of spiritual energy, and we pass through many different types of bodies, right? The body is just temporary. According to our state of consciousness, we take birth in another body. It may be human. It may not even be human the next time around, Raghunath, right?
Very interesting, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Very
crazy enough.
interesting.
Like, I think some people think, like, oh, I could be born like in a different gender. I can't even think about it. It's like inconceivable. It's too much to even stretch my mind to imagine that. But
You
no,
could
we're
be
saying
born as a toad.
you could be born as a toad.
Think about
and,
that.
Or not only
could
that, you
see
have been. You have been born
you
as a
could
toad.
see a fly and you could go, oh, that looks delicious. And you could see a female toad and like, look at those legs.
Look at those bumps. Yeah, and okay, we're losing him. We're losing him. And so so the idea is we're passing through many different bodies. We're even passing through different species. But when you get to the human birth, the Vedas are going to tell us this is unique. This is important.
I wonder if you're a tree, if you're
Yeah.
like, oh, this sucks. I'm a tree. I
Well,
can't
the
do
idea
anything. Or if
is-
you're like, whatever. Or if you're like actually okay with being a tree.
I think the
What do you
idea
think
is
about
that, well, like if we go to the Gita, there's indication in other places that, the consciousness is duller there. Okay? So
Right.
it's not, the soul within the tree, that's giving it life, that's making it grow, that gives it the power to reproduce, and so on. It's experiencing life in that tree. But it doesn't have, because it's in that particular body, its capacity, its sensitivity, and so on are going to be limited.
But do you
in
think,
that
like,
form.
suppose Mara's a tree, and
Yeah.
you're carving, you're on a picnic with your wife, Gita, and you're carving your name in the Mara tree, like
Kaustubha
Kaustubha loves
plus-
Gita. You think Mara's just like, is she actually tolerant? Is she
You
actually
see,
tolerant like a tree, or is she just like, I don't even want to deal with this? Is she just, you know what I mean? Like almost like an old man and a kid is yelling, and he's just like, whatever.
well, the idea is that she's experiencing that pain in a way that's far more dull. The awareness is far more dull than in a human being. Therefore we're vegetarians, right? Therefore, like, because we have to live
Okay.
off the death of a body of another living being, whether it be animal or plant. Like
Cool.
human beings, they consider it, generally consider cannibalism to be really amoral, right?
Right.
Because I mean, I suppose there could be many reasons, but to kill another human being is wrong, but to kill an animal is okay. Like a lot of majority of human beings maybe are there, right? And then some people say, no, that animal feels too, right? That animal is experiencing great pain and trauma by you putting it through what you're putting it through. And then and so therefore I'm vegetarian. Now, but even the vegetarian, the idea is that even that plant, that's a living being too. But because its awareness is dulled, it's not experiencing things in the same way. In the same way, just like we'll take a local anesthetic, and dull our awareness in a particular part of the body,
And then we'll drill through the tooth.
and then you
right?
drill through the tooth. Yeah.
So I like the concept of minimize pain.
minimized.
You're gonna have to cause pain just to live. Minimize it.
There you go.
Minimize it.
And then ultimately we tie it in too by we're saying, I'm not going to take this plant's life just for my own enjoyment, I will take it and return it to its origin, which is ultimately God. And in this way, it's all benefit.
Questions on our Zoom board, Kaustubha.
Okay.
Does the sorry about that, but
No,
does
no.
does
We're
the
squirreling
tree
off, but
have
it's a good
a
squirrel.
mind and an ego? Does the tree have a mind and an ego?
It does. You know, those travel with us through all the different bodies that we go through. But again, it's going to be so far limited, you know, in that form.
Right.
You know, so it's a duller awareness, it's a duller existence.
It's a duller ego.
Okay.
Ever see a tree with a big ego? Who do you
I'm
think
not
you
sure.
are, Mister?
I don't know what's going on in that tree.
Mr. Apple Tree.
Bigger than you are. But bringing it back to our original point is that, what was our original point?
Milking the earth analogy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So when we get to the human
Alex?
form of life, there's something called Dharma. With expanded consciousness, with expanded awareness, with expanded sensitivity. These are all good things, right? Like, in other words, the fact that I have a deeper awareness, the fact that I have a deeper sensitivity, it opens the doors for greater enjoyment in life in the human form. But also with that comes responsibility, right? Comes Dharma, right? And so when you're in that human form of life, in one sense, from the Vedic perspective, from the yogic perspective, it kind of evens everything out. We see an equality in all life. We see that spark of spiritual energy in all living beings. And so we see an equality. But at the same time, on the external level, on the material level, we recognize that the human form is a very special form. It's the form where you are asked, in one sense, nature demands that you become responsible. With the expanded consciousness comes expanded responsibility. We call that Dharma, right? That I will do what's right. Okay. And so the idea here is that the king is kind of responsible for maintaining Dharma within the kingdom. And through maintaining Dharma, there becomes a harmony between humanity and nature. Now, this is an idea that, like, modern man may be hesitant to embrace. They may think, okay, you got your mythology and so on. But the fact is that, like, just from an objective point of view, one could argue that it's because you're ignoring Dharma that the earth is holding back, you know, that the earth is responding. We're seeing it at this point in history more than ever before. We can say we're wandering away from Dharma like never before, and serious issues are arising with the earth.
Hey, we can see it in the way we relate to a partner, a spouse, a friend. You know, if I don't treat a partner, spouse, friend, a child with a certain type of dignity, respect, love, a pet, right? If you're not giving them love, they're not going to reciprocate that often. To the degree that you give that love and affection and care and dignity, there's a reciprocal relationship going on. The earth is a being. Now, it's not a clump of rock floating in space, rock and water floating in space. And if you think it is, then you might just be a rock, a clump of earth and water, but we're not. We say we are more than the elements on a periodic table. We have those elements, right? We are earth and water, etc. But we are a spiritual being that's tiny, but animating this big material machine. We say, when I say we, I mean the yogis say, the earth and all the planets are actually living beings, goddesses or gods that are making this big clump of earth actually come alive. It's just like it's massive, so we don't think of it as a being. But what do you think about, think about a mosquito? A mosquito's, going to bite Mara. Mosquito's not thinking, oh, there's Mara.
Mara's like, why am I always like the subject of these things?
The mosquito's not thinking like, oh, Mara's having a hard day, I shouldn't bite her. The mosquito's just thinking Mara's a big clump of earth, a big clump of a big blood bag. Come here, you blood bag. I want to take a bite of you. That's what the mosquito's thinking.
And the mosquito's not required to think more because it's in that limited body with limited mind and limited sensitivity and so on. But
and we drill
human-
for oil and we wreck
know.
mountains and go for coal. And we're just sort of exploiting the resources of this earth, thinking, well, what's the big deal? It's just a resource. I'll take whatever I want. Whoever claims this first is the winner. And this is what we do with natural resources. We don't see the earth, the forest, the jungles, the rainforests, the oceans as beings. And that's the beautiful thing about this Vedic thought. There's personality in everything. And when you live, not just like I just respect the animals, but you see everything as living entities, that's a very beautiful thing. And that's that same principle again as reduce violence. You're going to have to cause violence just to live here. Minimize the pain in this world. Minimize, Kaustubha.
Thank you. Now are you too, okay?
You too, you
Minimize.
big bag of blood.
Okay. So you get to this human form, you know, again, the mosquito, it's like nothing more is being demanded of the mosquito because it has limited awareness, limited consciousness. But you get to that human form where it's expanded, the idea of Dharma sets in. Now, and that's where you're responsible. And that's where karma sets in, right? Like with Raghunath, you see, because you're on your phone, I can see with your finger how you're scrolling through the chat board. It's become
it's not the chat
very
board. I
obvious.
just want to see who's here.
It's
I
become
thrive off of seeing people around.
Okay.
Right
But
now,
what
I'm
I
looking at
thrive
Linda
off of,
Kishore,
Raghunath, is
Chad Wells, and
conversation.
Jennifer.
I
I'm
thrive
allowed
off
to
of
see 3 people on my phone at once. So you're right. You caught me scrolling. But
Okay,
it's scrolling through their beautiful faces.
That's great.
I'm
How about just
scrolling back
focusing
to
on
you
my
now.
not so beautiful face for
You
as
have a
we
beautiful face
as we have
too,
a
but-
conversation. Okay, so
Okay.
this is the point: is that you reach that stage of human life where your consciousness, potential for consciousness, is expanded, and that means that also your responsibility expands. So that's where Dharma comes in. That's also where karma comes in, right? That if you don't step up to that higher level, then nature is going to come back at you and cause some reaction. Okay.
I love how you're preparing us to understand what the hell is going on with
This is
the
all
milking
going-
of the earth and the king.
Okay.
It's a huge backstory. You're zooming way out and bringing it right back to
We're going to
we have a
we're gonna bring it
body, we have Dharma, we have the tree has little consciousness. Once we get a human body, then we have responsibility. Once you have a position in the world, then you have some Dharma according to that body. And
There
now
we
we're
go.
talking about a leader and the Dharma of a leader.
Yeah.
It's you're very, very clever, man.
Thank you.
Really,
Thank you.
that's a great angle to go.
Okay.
And now a king who's a massive leader, right?
Yeah.
They're massive leaders.
More
and they
responsibility.
have massive responsibilities
That's right.
because everybody is dependent. And if they make one wrong move, that is a ripple effect of inauspiciousness. Same as when if you're just, hey, I'm 25 years old, and then all of a sudden you decide to get married and have children. Now there's dependence on you, and you're responsible for them, and you have some Dharma as a parent. What to speak of? You have 10 employees, 100 employees, thousands of employees, millions of citizens that are relying on your choices. And that's why we're trying to educate ourselves as Brahmanas.
How this whole world works, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So the Vedas are there telling us, hey, this is how it all works, you know? That just as you say, you know, like when you reach that human form, you have a lot of responsibility now. And when you become the king, well, now it's just expanded so much more. And it's the king that's meant to maintain the Dharma. Like, you ever see these kind of films, Raghunath, where like they show like one king, and the king is like talking to his son, and the son's kind of like living an irresponsible life because of all the opulences, but like the king is going to say, you're going to take over my role and you better stay. And like the prince is saying like, well, I don't want to be the king. And it's like, hey, this isn't like a choice, that this is like a heavy responsibility that, and it's going to be on your shoulders, you know. And you
Have
gotta
I ever
take it
seen a movie like this you're talking about?
Well, they have, that's a theme that comes up. It's not uncommon, I think, right?
The prince doesn't want to be the king.
Yeah, the prince doesn't want to be the king. You know, the king's trying to get the prince, because, you know, you're living in that opulence, you're enjoying the princely opulences, but it's like, hey, no, this is going to get real serious, and it's get serious soon. It's all going to be on your head, you know?
Right.
You're going to have to worry about whether we're being invaded. You're going to have to worry about whether we have enough food. You're going to, you know, it's all going to be on you. And it's actually, when you look at it that way, that responsibility isn't like, it's not like, oh, I want to be king. anymore. It's like it's just heavy responsibility.
Sure.
And so what's happening here, although it's being spoken allegorically, but the idea is that the king is not only is their scope of their responsibility, that the way that it's the way that their scope of responsibility is understood through the teachings of the Vedas is that they are kind of the intermediary, or they are kind of negotiating and responsible for this cooperation between, really the way that it'll be said in the Vedas is between humanity and the devas, the gods, right? But it's the gods and the goddesses that are responsible for nature and how nature's, so nature, the gods and the goddesses through nature are responding to how we live. And the king is responsible for making sure that we live in a dharmic way. But here we get kind of, it's flipped a little bit, because that's generally like the Vedic idea, right? It's like we need through acts of sacrifice, through living well, living good, being kind, being sensitive, and so on. We need to live good lives, and nature will reciprocate that. We'll get rains for our crops, and the sun will shine, and all of that. But this is flipping it.
By the way, this is so hard to believe, and I get it. Like, oh yeah, we've got to do our duty so the gods and goddesses reciprocate with the rain. Are you crazy? But think about those. Let's bring it back to that analogy with the mosquitoes on Mara. One mosquito could be going, hey, but you understand, you're carrying the malaria virus. You're going to give this person malaria when you suck her blood. And the other mosquito, the mother's skin. What are you talking about? She's not a being, and you're going to watch out. There's a guy who's going to swat you. Oh, what are you talking about, swat me? If I die, I die. It's just, they have no concept.
There's some big swatter out there.
There's a big swatter in the sky who's going to slap me. But the idea, it's bigger than our brains can even conceive. And we're asked in these Vedic teachings to zoom way out and see us all as tiny little beings as part of something greater. We don't like to think of ourselves as tiny. We like to think of ourselves as, we can figure this out. We are great. We're making great progress in science and understanding the universe. We're not. We're tiny. And the more we explore the universe, the more we realize how little we actually know. And then there's multiple dimensional world. There's things we can't even perceive. How are we supposed to figure this out with our tiny mosquito-like brain? And so the Vedas are not just some other fantastic story out there. Is actually giving us a glimpse of reality, how we're tiny, but we're part of something much bigger. And that doesn't mean, well, I'm tiny, who cares? What is life about anyway? No. We have a great significance, but our great significance isn't that I'm the center. Check me out. Check out my abs. Check out my biceps. Check out my bank account. It's, I get my significance from what I contribute back to the whole, according to what I was born with. Someone's got born with some talent, some artistic talent, financial talent, creative talent, speaking talent, whatever we got. Now we take that and we offer it back to the center, and that's our Dharma.
And to even take your point in another direction, like in other words, this sounds all unbelievable and super fantastic and mythological and whatever. There are many ways you could approach that attitude. Here's another way. And this goes back to my Oxford studies, Raghunath. And I mentioned this yesterday, was this idea that how one validation for what we are studying or reading, or one validation for our faith, it's not a conclusive argument, but it's a type of validation, is that if something is true, you should expect to see it popping up in different places, right? In different cultures and around, and this idea of the earth being mother, that's like, you're going to find that all over the place.
Pops up everywhere.
It pops up everywhere. That the earth is providing like a mother, and that the earth should be shown the respect like a mother. You're going to find that in Native American ideas. You're going to find that all over the place, So in one sense, it's kind of like David, reading that Henry Thoreau, that if I would just, what do you say, live carelessly? In other words, empty my mind of all the petty stuff that it's absorbed in, then nature is going to speak to us. And if you get to that point, like say, like many of the Native Americans, right, who weren't watching television, who weren't watching movies, who weren't filling their minds with all kinds of junk. They were living constantly in nature, in harmony with nature. If your mind's not totally distracted by all this garbage, nature starts to speak to you, and you begin to understand this earth is the mother, right? Same thing that the Vedas were saying, right? And so what's happening in this chapter is that we're seeing the king. He's not only responsible for his kingdom, his what do you call it? The king's, what do you call the people? His subjects.
Citizens, subjects.
He's not only responsible for seeing that the citizens or the subjects are living dharmically for their own good, for everyone's good. But here he's turning around to the earth and saying, you're not doing your part, right? Like he was so powerful that to the goddess earth, he's saying they're doing their part now. Now you have to do your part. And it's coming in the form of a threat. And so then the earth says, no, actually they weren't doing their part, but I'm totally ready. Let's make this work. And then what happens is, and this is a bit where the allegory sets in, but it seems that all these different categories of living beings, they all are receiving something from the earth that's unique to them or special to them or valued by them in a particular way. And so what we're, as it's saying, like this, it's saying that the earth is allegorically in the form of a cow, and she's being allegorically milked, and the milk is being collected by these different representatives of different categories of living beings. So the point is that Prithu restored the cosmic order, right, through Dharma, and then everybody's getting what they get, and we're going to hear different varieties of people and what they value, what kind of
Contribution.
What's important to them, in a sense, what distinguishes one from another. Maybe we can blow through some quick because we don't have that much time left.
All right, yeah, let's do some. So we're on text 19.
Yeah.
Okay, after this, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka. I'm always fascinated with Siddhaloka.
Here we go. We got 6 words
Mara
in.
just gave her that. Did you see what her head did? She went like, "Oh my god!"
Okay, we get through one verse.
If that face of yours could speak.
It can, Raghunath. It can speak.
We've lost him.
We lost him. We've lost him. One verse, Raghunath. One verse. Can we read one verse today?
No, I'm just saying Siddhaloka sounds like such a cool place. It's a planet
Yeah.
of siddhas, a perfected being.
Mystic yogis.
What must that be like?
Well, you're going to hear right now.
Always fascinated with Siddhaloka. After this, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka, as well as the inhabitants of Vidyadhar lokas, right? These are the Dharas of Vidya. They hold some type of mystical knowledge.
Yeah.
Transformed the great sage Kapila into a calf,
Okay.
and making the whole sky into a pot. They milked out specific yogic mystic powers, beginning with anima.
Becoming lighter than the lightest.
Is
I think it's lighter. Yeah.
levitation.
Is that right, or is it smaller than the smallest? I forget.
I don't know. Maybe it is making yourself tiny.
No, let me check.
Indeed, the inhabitants of Vidyadhar Loka acquired the art of flying in the sky. I think lighter than the light.
Lighter than the lightest, yeah.
Others also, inhabitants of the planets known as Kimpurusha Loka, made the demon Maya into a calf. Now, Maya was an architect of the demons.
And when we say demons here, it doesn't mean that Maya himself was just like a total trouble, but like he was engaged by this really kind of like it's kind of a race of people, you could say, or dynasty,
a race of people that just don't worship Lord Vishnu.
Yeah.
And don't accept that there's some type of, order of, I don't even know if I can say that.
He's kind of their mystic architect.
They're sophisticated demons.
Very sophisticated.
Yeah, they're not just, troublemakers, gangsters, thugs. These guys are like, they're like high-level demons.
Very high.
And they milked out,
Others
and they milked out
also
mystic powers by which one can disappear immediately from another's vision and appear again in a different form.
Okay.
What I want. That's what I want. And I
no,
promise
Raghunath,
God,
all you want is pure bhakti. You're not interested in these
saying
things.
If I had that power, I would use it for Krishna.
I think
That's all
I'm not
I'm
sure.
saying.
I'm not sure you
You
would.
could
I'm a
use
little worried
anything
that
in
you might
Krishna's
not.
service, Prabhu. I'm serious.
You could, but you could also easily become bewildered by these things, Raghunath. I'm
You
a
can
little
become
afraid.
bewildered. You can become bewildered by being sattvic, Prabhu.
I can see Raghunath. When Raghunath, he's like, when his day comes, and the Vaikuntha airplane, like a flower airplane, descends, and he's like, "This is it. This is my moment." And he's gonna step on that, and then that plane is gonna start to like move through the universe to the moving upward through the upper levels, and then they're gonna be, and you're gonna be like looking out, and you're gonna be seeing these other planets, and you're gonna say to the four-armed creatures on that plane, you're gonna say, "What is that place?" And they say, "That's Siddhaloka, Raghunath." And you're gonna see beings flying around. You're gonna be like, "Ah!" And you're
They're going to say, I can offer you this
That's right.
planet or pure bhakti. What would you like?
and you're gonna be like,
What about if I use it in God's service?
you're gonna be like, "Could I use it in God's service?" And they're gonna be like, "Well, that's up to you." And you're gonna go through a real tension right there, Raghunath. I can see it. But you know what? I know you're gonna pass that
I'm
test.
going to say, Krishna, whatever you want, but
but if you want this, I'm really into
on
it.
this one. I've got a plan. I know you've got some divine plan, but hear me out, Krishna. Okay, wait, we're going. The four-legged animals, like the cows, made a calf.
No, you
out of
skipped
coal.
one.
Thereafter,
No, you skipped
cobras.
two. You skipped two, and this one they get creepy now. They get darker.
good.
They
This
get
is gonna be
tamasic
good.
now. But this is
Okay.
the point. They're tamasic beings, and the same relationship exists, and they're also getting what they value, from the earth.
Okay, ready? So here's these interesting beings. Ready?
Yeah.
The
Yeah, sure.
yakshas, the rakshasas, an entire race of demons. The ghosts. Ghosts are real. Hashtag that one, Mara. Ghosts
Witches?
are real. The witches. Hashtag that one, Mara. Witches are real. Who
Okay.
are habituated to eating flesh. So people have always been meat eaters.
Yeah.
They're just from these dynasties. Who are habituated to eating flesh, transformed Lord Shiva's incarnation, Rudra, also known as Bhutanath.
the Lord
Shiva
of the
is
Ghosts.
the Lord of the ghosts.
Mhm.
Into a calf and milked out beverages made of blood
Ah,
and put them in a pot of skulls.
this is
Ever
tamasic
see those
stuff.
people that drink the blood of cows? Ever see that? Like
No.
in Africa or something? It's a thing. They stick a straw in the neck. It's something creepy.
Oh, Raghunath, don't even go there.
Hare Krishna. I did one of those Hare Krishna, like Hare Krishna.
You see,
Which is-
Karuna's like, I don't want to hear about that, Raghunath. That's
You ever say Hare
Disgusting.
Krishna to mean like, please forgive me or purify my
it's
tongue?
kind of like
Hare
reset.
Krishna.
Yeah, like
Someone
kind of
says something
reset.
really low class and you say Hare Krishna.
I do
Hare
that all the
Krishna.
time.
The Hare Krishna mantra we can use for anything. Sometimes when you're laughing, Hare Krishna.
Okay. Raghunath,
Sometimes when
Hare
you say
Krishna
shame,
right now.
Hare-
Okay.
Okay, one more. The cobras and the snakes without hoods, right? Some snakes have hoods.
Mhm.
Large snakes, scorpions, and many other poisonous animals took poison out of the planet Earth as their milk and kept this poison in snake holes. They made a calf out of
Takshaka,
takshaka.
snake bird.
Takshaka.
Why don't we? This one has an interesting purport. Why don't we stop here and we'll pick up here tomorrow with the snake birds and
Read the bird. Or you can read
keeping
the purport.
the poison in the snake holes.
Keeping the poison in the
That's
snake.
some interesting stuff.
That's what Are we going to read the purport?
I think we're out of time today, Raghunath. It's 7 a.m.
Eh.
Because
Sorry
you came
about
in late.
that.
You've been, Raghunath, I hate to call you on public. You've been coming in a little bit late recently. You've been pushing it. We've been having these late starts, and I'm going to.
I'm on Vrindavan time.
You see, that's
Prabhu. Radhe,
that's what he
Radhe.
does. Well, in Vrindavan, they read the Bhagavatam and they wake up early. You know.
Radhe, Radhe.
All right. I tried, people. I tried.
Okay. Let's do this.
So this is where we turn to Mara, Raghunath, and we say, Mara, do we have any takeaways for today?
Mary, what do you think, Mary? We got any takeaways? Anything about what do we got?
We
Radhe,
got some
Radhe.
good takeaways.
Okay,
We got some good
hit me.
takeaways.
Okay.
Practice concentration, hold the mind,
Boring.
minimize the pain in this world.
What were you doing this morning? Like, you came in late. You couldn't get your
I did my
equipment together.
puja.
What were
You
you
see that
drinking?
down on my
What were you
head?
smoking? What? Okay.
Minimize the pain in this world.
Minimize the pain.
Yeah,
There you go.
minimize the pain in the
That's
world,
trying to do.
people.
With greater consciousness comes greater responsibility.
That's right.
Booyah, booyah.
When we
Yoda, or
wander
was that-
away,
No, someone sent it to me. No, it was Dustin. He sent me. That comes from like Raiders of the Lost Ark or something. He sent me that quote, right? That with great something comes great responsibility. Or is it
It's like
Spider-Man?
Star
or something?
Wars or something.
Star Wars.
Yoda.
Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man, Evan Lewis says. Okay.
when we wander away from Dharma, serious issues arise.
Mm-hmm.
To the degree that you give love and affection, there's reciprocity.
Ooh, reciprocity. I didn't say that, but I did say that quote, but I didn't say reciprocity.
I mean,
like
you
that.
said there's a reciprocal relationship, but I thought that would be too long for a tattoo.
Oh, you're editing.
Mara's editing.
You're
there.
the editor now.
Nice.
The big bag of blood.
You can thank
Now
Papa
become
Tony
the editor.
for that one, for sending her to a good
Continue
school.
on, Vyas.
There's personality in everything.
There's, well, not in everything.
Well, maybe.
Okay, well, maybe. All right, next one.
Zoom way out and see that we're tiny beings.
That's right.
We're tiny.
To mosquitoes, we are just blood bags.
Mm-hmm.
Blood bag. Hey, we're blood bag.
From
Blood bag. It's sort of like a grunge metal band.
okay.
We're blood
My-
bag from
From
Newport News, Virginia.
It doesn't work. You need a heavier name.
My significance is for my contribution to the whole.
Right.
Offer what we got to
It's
the
a good state. It's a good.
I mean,
sentiment.
I think it
Makes
can
a
be
bad
easily
shirt.
misinterpreted, though. I think it can be easily misinterpreted because it makes it sound like your spiritual value is based on your material activities. You see, I think there's got to be a better way to phrase that, Raghunath. He's giving me a look
Edit
like,
that one,
why are you,
Raghu.
why are you defecating all over my?
You're messing with the Raghunath Classic there. That you're trying to
I
change
know, I
Coke
know.
Classic.
I'm not trying to change it. I'm just trying to help you
You're trying to
refine
make
it.
new Coke out of my classic line.
Okay. All right.
All right, go on, please. We had 109 people today, by the way.
Offer
Thank
what we
you.
got to the center.
Over we got to the center. I like that.
Ooh, yeah.
Ghosts are real. Witches are real. We've all
Ghosts
been
are real.
toads.
Witches are real. That's a
Yep.
tattoo.
We've all been toads.
We've all been toads. We have
And
been, truthfully. In all truth, we have been.
Okay.
And throw the nugget.
Throw it. Throw
the nugget.
We're gonna
What do you think
throw
about
it-
the one I said about the toad legs? Like, oh, check out those legs.
It was a highlight, Raghunath. It was a.
But
I'll never forget that
That's where
moment.
we were. That's where our consciousness was. I mean,
agree.
now, being a devotee for many years, if I say, hey, you want a pepperoni pizza? You're like, that's disgusting. No, I don't want a pepperoni pizza. Or if I say, you want to eat a hamburger? You say, no, I don't want to eat a hamburger. But if I said, hey, you think that female toad's legs are very beautiful? You'd be like, yeah. Because that's where our consciousness was at. Female toads
I
are
understood.
sexy.
I understood it, Raghunath. I did
You
understand the analogy when you presented it the first time.
Okay, well, imagine this. Do you think that we were both a female toad and a male toad?
Very
or we're just
likely.
gonna take birth as one toad?
It's
Doesn't
very
matter.
likely that I've been through many toad births.
No, but do you think no? Because every time you die, you evolve. My question is, do you
No,
have to
but
be
but you
both
go cycle.
genders?
You can go back down and come back up again.
Not in a well, okay, but do you think you have to be both genders of the toad, or
In
just
one cycle?
toad, or just like okay, toad, boy or girl, check. On
The
to
intricacies
next
of
birth,
karma
full
are very difficult to understand, Raghunath. I cannot answer that question. It would be speculation if I did.
You don't have the answer. You don't have the answer. We have to find an authority on spiritual evolution. Thanks everybody for joining us. Make sure you check out the Bhakti Recovery Retreat that's happening at Super Soul Farm. Go to wisdomofthesages.com. Check out the Sage Academy tab. Lots of great stuff happening this summer, including, and we're about to announce this, Ashrama. Kaustubha is a master teacher, and he's going to teach that for a month. I'm teaching how to fall in love with divinity for a week, not for a month, a week. Kaustubha's teaching a week, I'm teaching a week, and Bhakti Lata. And we've had her on the show a lot. She's wonderful. And she's married to Ganesham, and he's been on the show a lot, too. So check that out. That's going to be going up soon. Here on